Welcome everyone to DC Decoded, our first Substack Live. We are breaking down what happens when artificial intelligence meets the nation's capital. We are also part of the Gen AI Collective as a whole. It is a nonprofit that's headquartered in SF, but there are chapters across the country as well as the world. And our organization of over 25,000 members are gathering AI practitioners, experts, people just interested in AI, people scared of AI, all of the above, in whatever regional chapter and influencing the AI discussions and movements going on in that region. I am Sam Lee. I am the creative director of the DC chapter, where currently we have our DC Decoded podcast that goes out every other Wednesday, our new weekly news roundup of what's happening with AI in DC out every Tuesday, starting next Tuesday, and now our Substack Lives, where after each event that we hold, we hop on with the event co-host from the chapter and talk about what happened and maybe make people a little bit jealous if they missed out on it. And with me, I have Anna. Anna, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody, and our one viewer. I am Anna April, and I am lead operations for our Gen AI Collective chapter here in DC. I'm happy to be part of the first Substack Live here with Sam, great team member. And yeah, I guess just to brief our little AI soiree and events going forward. So happy to be here.
Yes, thank you for being here, Anna. And we will be routinely, hopefully, joined by our other event co-host leader, Catherine McMillan, who I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with. She leads our chapter. So these Substack Lives are just going to, as I said, recap what the events we had in store. And as we just confirmed at the beginning of this recording, it is in fact recorded, so it will be uploaded and sent out to our subscribers, as of course not everybody can join during a live stream, but hopefully this is a casual way to recount it. So Anna, AI soiree, dystopia or utopia, set the scene for us a little bit. When was this event? What was this event? And how did people hear about it and sign up for it?
For sure. Okay, so AI soiree dystopia. This was last Thursday. This was not our first AI soiree, though. We've had two in the past 2 months. Our goal with the DC chapter is to have an AI soiree every month. And so, what these soirees are essentially are mid-sized level groups, 30 people max. We all come together in an intimate setting, typically someone's house that they offer up. Catherine has been really great with connecting with people in DC that have offered up their homes, and we're eternally grateful for them because they have created a safe space where people can come in and just have a night of meaningful discussions around AI, and what that means for our future, and whether the positives, the negatives, the good and bad, and everything. So last week, like I said, we had our soiree, and typically, yeah, what we do is we have light bites, light refreshments. People can come in, grab a pizza, grab a drink, and we have a maybe 20-minute networking session where everyone's just kind of bonding, getting to know each other in the room. And because these groups and events are kind of small, medium-sized level groups, you kind of get the opportunity to chat with everybody. And then we have a few Gen AI representatives there. So it was myself, Sam, and Catherine. We were all at the last soiree. And so we will kind of group everybody off. So last time we had 3 groups, and we had, 5 people per group, and we all just had questions around AI soiree. And we kind of created a roadmap for what we wanted to talk about, but each group could kind of go off on a tangent or whatever they were interested in at the time, and they can go with the flow. And so we had those discussions, 30 minutes, and then we reconvened with a group and had a bigger group discussion. So that's typically how the AI stories go. Yeah.
Yeah. And how did people find out about this event, and where did they go to sign up?
Right. So we have a few actual social media things that they can find these events on, but primarily we do it all through Luma. So we have a Gen AI Collective Luma page, and we have events up and running there, and you can RSVP through the Luma, and you will get added as the list goes on.
Yeah, and this isn't sponsored by Luma, but Luma is such an easy platform to use, both in terms of like setting up events, but also just signing up. There are no ads. You can use Luma both on the desktop and on mobile to just look at what's happening in your city or based
Hmm.
on topic. And it really lays out what you can expect from each event, if it's priced, if it's not. Most of our events are free for anybody to sign up. And I think I have not found a better event platform where you could just sign up to things. I don't know if you have, Anna, or do you
No, it's
also
it's
mainly
super
use it?
nice. I was not aware of Luma before I joined the Gen AI Collective. So
Me
using
too.
it now, it's actually really great. It's a relatively easy platform to navigate, pretty beautiful, clean, and organized. Also, that being said, I think a goal for me on the operation side of things is to really start working on promoting these events too through my own personal platform. So like
Yeah,
LinkedIn, for my own LinkedIn. I did a post today about a future event we have in a couple weeks, but also for viewers watching or listening, make sure to kind of stay updated on LinkedIn and just those various networking platforms, because we'll probably have the events through there, and then we'll tag the Luma link, and you can go to that platform there. So
exactly. And also DC
yeah,
Decoded through our Substack,
that's right.
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and we also just created a
You
LinkedIn
name
as
it, we
well.
got it.
That is the goal. That is the
Yeah.
goal. And I think we were very intentional about crafting
Hmm.
the participants for the soiree. It's not that we didn't want to just have everybody who wanted to come to this event, but the point of a soiree is to be able to bring different perspectives. So I do know there were some people who wanted to go but weren't able to go to this specific one, but that's why we're going to have these soirees on a consistent basis. We really want to make sure that everybody who wants to go to one
Hmm.
is able to go to one. And before we move into what we thought of the discussion itself, any funny stories that might have occurred, let's just quickly look at the stats. So we had 28 guests at a capacity of 25, but that is fine. And we had two people give us feedback. Of course, we'll keep it anonymous, but one person gave us a 5 out of 5, thank you, and one person gave us a 3 out of 5, which also thank you. What was confusing though is that the person who gave the 5 out of 5 gave like written feedback, and the person who gave a 3 out of 5 did not. So if you are that person, let us know if you feel comfortable. I mean, we also could see your name, but in all seriousness, we always are appreciative of feedback, regardless of where or how people felt about the event. We want to improve, and that comes with both positive and negative feedback. So please always feel free to give feedback on these events. But we had just such a range of people. Like we really did it. We had PhD people, we had biotech people, startup, venture,
Yeah.
law, government, young, old, middle experience, all different ranges.
Yeah.
And I really again am thankful for our host who was able to have us. And I think it was a very great event. Let's get into some of the discussion points then. So, Anna, you led one of those small groups. Why don't we start there? What did you guys talk about? What did you feel like was really striking a chord with people? And then also, what were your thoughts on our large convening at the end?
For sure. Okay, so I guess we'll start with my small discussion group. We had a really great, meaningful discussions. A little bit of discourse, but as these events should, there definitely should be a little bit of discussion and back and forth. I think one of my biggest takeaways from the night and from my group in particular is that it is imperative we have conversations around AI, what it means to be ethical in this space, what it means to guide regulation and educate people, um, what all of that means, and to start having these conversations on a social working level. That ultimately is what guides change, I think, and that was somebody from my group was really focused on having impactful discussions at a working level because AI is fast. It's accelerated. People are scared. A lot of just working with the Gen AI Collective in the past 3 months, I've really gotten to know a lot of people in the startup scene, founders. I mean, you name it, researchers, been working for big tech companies, and the tone around AI in particular is so negative. And it was really surprising for me.
Mm,
I mean, I even commented on this at the story. I was like, why is it so negative? But I think a lot of times people just get fearful of it, and we don't know how to address it. And I think
Right.
that's always going to be a never ending cycle of, oh my God, AI is so fast. We don't know what to do. What do we do with large language models? How do we retrieve data ethically? How can we put guardrails in place to protect users' rights? How can we get people to care? I mean, these are all pending questions, and there's always going to be ways to improve it. But in order to really have change on higher levels, we really need people to start caring at at a low size level and just start educating people slowly and surely. So that I think was my biggest um, takeaway from the group. And with the big discussion group too is really interesting. I think we all each group focused on very different things. And I think one a little bit of discourse we had as an entire group is kind of how we get people well advanced in their careers and in the space or working for tech companies or for public sector agencies to care about what it means to deal with AI ethically and
Yeah.
how can we incentivize that. And I think one person is like, oh, we can't, it's difficult if there's no incentive, right? If it's more expensive to do things ethically, if it takes more time, if it's less convenient, why would executive people in a business, primarily private sector, we're speaking at that level, care?
Yeah.
But we got some pushback from somebody that was literally a founder for an
Right.
AI company that was like,
Right.
you can do this, you can have an ethical advisory or guardrails and still care and have a successful business that competes domestically or internationally. So that was something that was really interesting to me.
Yeah, I think that I'll start with the large group on that topic. I really liked how people were critical of the questions that Catherine posed, which I'm sorry to explain to Catherine, were ChatGPT created. Like, because these questions were so broad of like, basically it was like ChatGPT good or bad, or it's like the world collaborate or not. And I really was not surprised, but I was really happy to see people like not just answer the question, but we started having people like elevate the conversation where
Mm-hmm.
they were like, well, yes, but, or like, yes, but it depends on. And that I think got to more of the nuances that you're describing of
Mm-hmm.
how do we get people to care about AI, whether you're in government, whether you're at a
Mm-hmm.
company, whether you um, are a nonprofit, civil society? Like, I think that was something that really stood out to me in terms
Mm-hmm.
of what we want to achieve in those large group discussions because you, me, everybody, we've all been part of large groups where like nobody talks or like
Mm-hmm.
we don't get anywhere with the conversation. But
Uh-huh.
I think what stood out to me about this group, and I'm sure you had similar experiences with previous stories, like
Mm-hmm.
this group wants to talk. And I think it was hard to me that even when we gave, and again, I claim some of the responsibility here too, like less than ideal prompts, like people were able to take the conversation where it needed to go. And
Mm-hmm.
then for my small group, like you had mentioned, Anna, between you, me, and Catherine in our small groups, I think the vibes were very different. And like me and Catherine's groups were semi on the floor on chairs, and then you were like in the kitchen standing
Yes.
up, which I was very impressed that you guys like
Uh,
stayed that way. And Catherine's group was like a little rowdier. Like I feel like every group had
yeah.
its own vibe. And I think for my group, I had a lot of venture founders and like biotech people, or just those were the ones who brought a lot of really great insights.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone contributed, of course, but I think we talked a lot about what it meant for AI technology to be getting better and better in biotech and the health spaces. Because on one hand, I think we're seeing this rapid loss of certain notions of privacy. Like, I think
Mm-hmm.
it's this weird in between where we have companies, huge companies like Apple, Google, spending millions and millions of dollars on ad campaigns, like promising there's user privacy. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I could like recall by seeing each of the past like three versions of the Apple privacy ad where like your information is locked up and it's
Mm-hmm.
very explicit and apparent of what these tech companies are trying to get across.
Hmm.
However, on the other hand, like think about all the surveillance that is either actively happening like on our streets or in public areas, but then also through our screens or through our
Hmm.
Alexas. It's like at a very latent and just unconscious level as well. That was a really key point in our discussion where on one hand surveillance is creepy, like I think very few people would disagree with that sentiment, but on the other hand for like medical breakthroughs it really allows health to be individualized, which I think a lot of people would agree that's the best way to go about healthcare if, cost wasn't a factor or resources weren't a factor. Like an AI is at the forefront of being able to make health individual where by using AI technology, um, you can be able to really give the individual care that a person suffering needs. So
Yeah.
I found that to be a really key dynamic at play, especially in the health space, because I think, especially in DC, when I mean, we have doctors, of course, but we're not like the health capital. That's
Uh-huh.
actually not too far. Like, I would say Bethesda, Rockville, the I-270 corridor, but not DC.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like DC
Uh-huh.
itself is quite,
It's
um,
the public policy
it's
corridor.
yeah, it's very quite
Yeah.
it's very much still the public policy corridor. But that was something that
Hmm.
I appreciated as a perspective. I want to ask
Yeah.
you what you thought of the venue. Like it was a beautiful space. I just want to like bring it to life a little bit. So
Uh-huh.
could you describe it for the
It,
people who either were there or weren't?
Definitely. Yeah, beautiful little quaint home right in Eastern Market. It was lofty vibes. You know, we had there's a primary like living room, bedroom area space, and so we got
Yeah.
two groups in there. It was you, Catherine. I could hear you guys all the way from the kitchen. Um, Great discussions, obviously. And then yeah, we you had the kitchen. But each space is different. You know, each host is again. We're just so thankful
Yeah.
um, to be able to host these in such intimate and quaint environments, and we really appreciate it. But yeah, that was kind of the vibe for this past soiree. And the first soiree was also in the Eastern Market area. Um, but it was kind of more of the first event space was more of like a house-based event, so there was
Hmm.
a living room, there was a dining room, so you could really kind of section off the groups a little bit easier. That being said, I mean, both had its perks, and I think everybody had a great time. Everybody got to eat, everybody got to have a little drink. There was a few people in my group that were from New York that were working in the AI space that came
Wow.
down. Yeah, so we had DC people and New York people.
Wait, they came down just for this event?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't get to speak to. So my point being is, we were right by the kitchen and by the door, and so
Right.
they kind of had to go catch a train and dip off, and so they were like they
Wow.
ended up being in the right group. Because they could just like leave quietly. But yeah,
Wow.
I didn't know them personally at first. I mean, it was great connecting with them. Probably Catherine knew them. I think one might have actually been from the Gen AI Collective chapter out in New York City.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Okay.
yeah, so
Okay.
definitely need to touch base with them. But they were there briefly, and so that was really cool. To connect with them because it's cool to get outside perspectives. As much as we want to build the community here in DC, and everybody is welcome. Like we said, whether
Of
you're a founder,
course.
researcher, student, whomever, it's still cool to kind of see people from out of state, and it's rare we get to have that at our events typically. So it was nice.
Yeah. I did not know that. That is
I
awesome.
know. Yeah, it's
I
really cool.
For the first story that you were at,
Hmm.
I know that our first podcast guest, actually John Heflin Hopkins Gillespie, he changed
Hmm.
his flight so he could make the soiree and then like go to New York the next day.
Okay.
So like people are actively like
They're jumping
incorporating
around
us
city to
into
city.
their plans, and I'm so
Uh,
impressed because
it's super
as
cool.
somebody who likes to know like what he should expect every day a little bit
Hmm.
more, I really admire that, and I'm glad
Yeah.
that people are finding our events that valuable.
Yeah.
For those who just joined, we're recapping our last event that we had as the DC chapter of the Gen AI Collective. It was an AI soiree, dystopia or utopia. It happened last Thursday, and there were both small group discussions and a large group discussion. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat or even just give us a like. We haven't gotten a like yet, so I'm gonna plug that in there.
Tap the screen.
Maybe one
Uh,
generous soul. will start hitting the heart like no tomorrow. But in the meantime, Anna, I'm
Yeah.
curious if you had like a funny moment or funny story from either planning on Thursday or the
Oh my
actual event
goodness.
or after. I have a few, so if you want to think, I can also go first. But
Okay,
if you
you
have
go
any,
first. Let me think if I've got
okay,
one.
yeah, you take a
I'll let
beat.
you know.
Well, the first one actually involves you, but basically,
Oh.
so before the event, we had
Mm-hmm.
all agreed, I think, to meet there at like 6:30 because it started at 7 or something, or like
Right.
maybe a little afterwards. So
Mm-hmm.
I work in East around Eastern Market. Catherine lives near Eastern Market, so we just ended up getting dinner. And around 6:30, I get a text from Anna that's like, "Oh, like I'm here at the house, and the host isn't there yet. Like the person that let
Oh,
us
right.
in
Yeah.
to their space to have this event is not there." And Anna is probably just like
Oh no, I'm
moseying
chilling.
around,
Yeah, no, I'm like, what do the neighbors think about me? I'm standing out there. I don't even have the pizza
like,
yet. What chaos. Yeah, it's a funny
so
story for you, but for me,
yeah,
it was
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah, right. Maybe it's like based on
Mm,
perspective. So I see that, and me and Catherine are like, oh, we should like head over and like
right,
save her. So that we like stroll
right.
over, and Anna's like there with her stuff. And then I was like, did you carry all that water with you? Because she had like a whole water thing. And I was like, no, I Ubered. It was just faster. Or like, how did you describe your Uber
Yeah,
driver?
no, so
Like,
this is why it was so early. I was coming all the way out from Virginia. I like thought I was gonna be stuck in traffic, like 30-minute commute. Lo and behold, my
right.
Uber driver knew the city like the back of his hand. So he's like he's taking like the exit here, the exit there. I'm like, wow, he's speed demon. So, I thought I was gonna I said in the group chat, I was like, I'm gonna be there 15 minutes early. Now I'm 30. Host isn't there. You guys are getting dinner. But that's the beauty of it, right? Like that's the beauty of working on operations, like dealing with events. You just don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Um, and then I guess to add to the funny story, maybe the other funny part of this is we all convene outside. We get let up. The pizza still hasn't come. I thought the pizza was gonna come, and then Catherine and us we're talking about what we're gonna discuss on
Right.
ChatGPT, coming up with questions to guide discussions. We're getting situated, and I like am not checking my phone, and I'm pretty sure I got like like the not the fake text, but like the whatever. I got like some text, and I was like, whatever. Like I wasn't paying attention to it. And then first guest shows up 10 minutes early and like has the pizza. Like,
And
wait,
I
what the
thought he was like, I thought he was connected to one of us. I'm like, oh, this is like a
Yeah.
friend of one of us. And he literally just
I was
like,
like, yeah, he just had the pizza in his hands and he was an attendee. He wasn't even the pizza delivery guy. So
yeah, shout out to him. Shout
shout out
out
to
to
him.
him.
Brought in the pizza safely. We didn't leave it out to rot. So yeah, they
Yeah,
were very funny. You never know what to expect. Um, but
yeah,
you live and you learn.
yeah. No, I agree.
So
It all ended well.
uh-huh.
I think another funny moment for me during the event is Catherine's harmonica. That was like somewhat useful. Like
Hmm.
I had no idea she had it, but she was like, "Oh, my harmonica." I'm like, "Oh, like okay, like we can go with this."
You're like,
And then
and
she was so proud of it.
yeah,
She would like play a little note, and like half
uh-huh.
of the heads would turn, and then like we would
Uh-huh.
signal for the other half. But every time she played it a little bit, it just
Mhm.
made me laugh. Any other moments for you?
I'm like, um, no, I don't think it was. I don't think anything else that funny happened,
Yeah,
but I think just in general, I was just happy to be there. It's my second time being at soiree, and I think going forward, we do want to get everybody that we meet in on these events,
yeah,
and sometimes it's difficult, and I think sometimes the RSVPs get lost in translation, and there's some confusion on
yeah,
on what that looks like. And every event's different, right? These soirees are going to be different from sometimes our tailored happy hours or an event we have in a couple weeks with some partnerships. The way that RSVPs are confirmed and admitted are different kind of each round, but definitely with the soirees, I think we want to get in some fresh faces every month. We're gonna try to do this monthly, like I've said before, and just work towards making it open enough and accessible for at least some person, so for everybody to get in there at least once and meet new people and have these guided discussions. So
right. And
looking
outside of
forward
those
to it.
soirees, we'll have like several events that
Yes.
people will be able to attend,
Hmm.
and also meet people that way. But
Yep.
before we wrap up with that, I'm curious, 1 to 2 takeaways from this specific soiree experience. And again, I'll give you a second to think and I'll roll out my
Mm-hmm.
two. I think first, the effectiveness of a small group format continues
Mm-hmm.
to reign. There's something
Mm-hmm.
about 5 to 10 people max having
Mm-hmm.
a discussion and letting ideas bounce off of each other and letting people who speak more invite people who speak less and people who speak
Mm-hmm.
less feel encouraged to speak up because it's a small group. Like there's a
Mm-hmm.
certain dynamic that I think when applied to more work focused discussions too also bears a lot of fruit, and it's something that I hope
Mm-hmm.
we continue to have not just as part of the soirees but in general. And then the other point for me was like the role of disagreement. I think it's nice when you don't have people who just have the same perspective or very similar perspectives. There was good pushback, there was good contradicting, and obviously everything was done very respectfully. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like that type of conversation that I want to continue being a part of, um,
Mm-hmm.
specifically around AI, but in general as
Yeah.
well. What about
Yep.
you?
I think for me, I think having some level of a guided discussion is really great. I
Yeah,
don't think it needs to be overbearing. I think, like you said, say with your group, you kind of just digressed and kind of focused on things that you guys thought were important and relevant to the conversation. Um, and I found this to be a trend, and even the first story that we had is, allowing people to go where they want. Maybe the first
yeah,
question is posed and everybody goes around and answers it, but eventually just leads into other discussions, just bouncing off ideas to each other. And I think that's really helpful, and low stress, and for people to feel like they can participate, and they feel seen and heard, and ideas are flowing.
yeah,
So that's one. And then two, I think having these like intimate spaces, having people's homes, it's it's such a beauty, and it's
yeah.
it's rare to be able to do it in a city environment. But doing that, I think I've never been to another networking event where you're kind of able to go to somebody's home, maybe monthly,
Yeah.
to meet new people and to discuss. And so I think that's something that's really great that we've been able to offer up to people. And shout out again to the past hosts that have opened up their spaces. So yeah,
Yes.
definitely two takeaways.
Yes, for sure.
Hmm.
Okay, let's wrap up here. Let's talk about
Okay.
the upcoming events. And for our
Hmm.
next soiree, which I don't think we have a date yet
We don't
for,
have a
right?
date
Okay,
yet. No,
we don't have a
no.
date. But if you have a space that you think would be proper for this type of environment, definitely reach out to our Substack or wherever you might be listening to, and you can just search us up DC Decoded on Substack and connect and message us
Hmm.
directly. But we're always looking for new spaces, even though, again, we've had generous people who've given us their spaces, and we have generous people coming up as well. With that,
Hmm.
Anna, do you want to give a quick preview of what
For
are
sure.
the next
Yeah,
events?
we've got two planned events coming up this month. First is this week. We have one going on this Thursday, 5 to 7. It's called AI Power Hour. It's a collaboration we're doing with Prefect, and this is going to be at an event space out in DC. But the goal is, for every event. I think that I've repeated this both internally and now externally. Is that the goal of our events is to kind of distinguish ourselves from other just you know networking events. Is we want to have meaningful discussions. We want to have people that are heard and seen. And so for this event, for the Power Hour, I think we're going to have like some little speed round discussion based groups. So it should be fun. It's going to be like a game like setting, and we're going to just discuss kind of AI, the future of it. We're going to have AI policy experts, founders, researchers, all of that good stuff. So that's coming up this week.
And
And
where can
then
people find that? Or where do they
they can
sign up?
find it
Is it
on
still
the
Luma?
Luma. We
Okay.
are capped right now at maximum capacity. So I don't know if you were to RSVP right now that we would admit, but we always typically like to send out a Luma reminder 24 hours in advance. If you can't make it, please cancel so we can open up the RSVPs to anybody else that'd be interested in going. So
Great.
that should be coming out. And if there's open spaces, check the Luma frequently, because maybe there'll be some updates. And then in a couple weeks, we have an AI Insiders Roundtable. So this is collaboration with AWS and Halacon. This is going to be a pretty exciting and niche event. You can RSVP on Luma. The RSVPs will be kind of selected on a rolling basis. We're already having a lot of capacity and requests to be able to be a part of this event. So if if you are accepted and admitted, great. If not, we're going to have so many future events, and that people will eventually get the opportunity to come to some of these future events. So if not this one, then definitely things in the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
and all the details are on the Luma. There's a description in every Luma post that we have. So
Right. So go to Luma, everyone,
mhm.
Luma. And we just had one more event added, which is next Saturday. It's a collaboration with Notion. I am a Notion ambassador, and we'll be doing a Notion AI template workshop. It'll be half demonstration of Notion AI. And because Notion AI is a paid feature, not everybody necessarily has Notion AI after the demonstration. Everyone will just make a template, and the topic will be revealed, but there will be Notion stickers. And for the first time for a Notion DC event, I'm going to say, the first 9 or 10 people, still need to like cap it, but the
Mhm.
first 9 or 10 people who show up will be able to get any medium sized drink of theirs covered, courtesy of Notion. So definitely
Woo!
an incentive to join. Also on the Luma, it won't be on the Gen AI calendar, but Catherine's a co-host, and I'll include all of the links, all three of our links, in the description for this recording. And it's also part of our Gen AI DC programming. So very excited for that. Awesome. Well, this is the first time we've done this type of format,
Mhm.
but be on the lookout after our prefect event on Thursday, either that weekend, this upcoming weekend, or early next week. We'll be doing a Substack Live where people who attended the event, missed the event, and want to get caught up, or want to know what future events will be, can join these lives. Anna, Catherine, me, some
Mhm.
combination. Well, I guess I always will be here because I'm running these, but
Yeah, yeah.
Anna and or Catherine and other people might be joining. But
Mhm.
I'm excited to see how these events progress. Anna, any last words before I close this out?
Very exciting, Sam. Thank you for having me. This is
Of course.
amazing. So proud of you and the creative director role that you've decided to take on. It's really great. And yeah, looking forward to having more lives in the future. So thank you.
Yes, same here. Of
Yeah.
course. Thank you. Thank you. This
Okay.
has been our DC Decoded Substack Live. You can find us DC Decoded on Substack, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube, and now LinkedIn. I need to remember to start saying that. You can find our upcoming Gen AI DC chapter events on Luma. That's Luma. And until next time, we will see you either at an event or a discussion. But take care.